So what is it like to work at CE? The best people to answer this are, of course, our staff. So we asked them, and here's what they said.
I founded CE because I thought it was the highest impact thing to do, is the short answer. Why we thought it was the highest impact thing to do is basically there were lots of fantastic charitable organizations that had fairly trivial barriers that stopped them from actually existing and then actually scaling and having a big impact. It seemed like we could remove these barriers if we found an organization to do it, so we did.
We basically had like months-long debates about, is it better to improve existing organizations or is it better to just start from scratch? So instead of basically doing research and then trying to convince others to do effective programs, we basically create an organization that does research and then just incubate organizations straight working on it instead of going through the intermediate process.
Your work very quickly turned into something rather than like sitting around and being hoped to be read by somebody.
I was co-founding a non-profit, New Incentives, and was very engaged in this process and wanted to go back to the early stage and interact with new charities.
The reason I really wanted to work with CE, for many reasons, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to work with some of the most authentically motivated and talented people that I've ever met.
At every junction we're thinking about how can we make decisions such that we do the most good in the world, and whilst I think other organisations might have that as part of their focus, it's so central to what CE does, and I think that's really inspiring for me.
We definitely have more of a startup culture as opposed to a kind of academic formal culture.
Meritocracy, making decisions based on best arguments.
So people are proposing ideas all the time, but they get shot down naturally, of course. But people aren't attached to them, and we're always updating and trying new things. And it really doesn't matter who proposed the idea, it's just whatever is the best idea.
I think we're maybe a little bit more playful than other orgs. We don't take ourselves too seriously on things that don't really matter.
I've seen people in positions at all levels of seniority making sound, rigorous decisions with open, transparent reasoning. I love working for an organization where I can trust that a lot of thought has been put into what we're doing.
I like the challenge of the work. We're basically trying to work out the best ways that anyone can do good in the world and get them to go do it.
It's working from first principles. So basically each year there's a re-evaluation and we ask, so what should we even do at CE, and really question every assumption. And that is basically applied throughout the year as well.
It's this really, really cool balancing act between the rigor and the scientific approach of EA mixed with the lean and activity focused, or like let's try stuff out and see if it works, the lean approach from entrepreneurship.
People are here because this is the most impactful career options that was there, because they actively compare their career options all the time. If it would be actually that this job would not be the most impactful thing, CE would even encourage the person to change the job.
I have huge autonomy over how I do my work, where I do my work, when I do my work. As long as I do good work, everything else is secondary, and I really enjoy that because that's the kind of environment where I thrive the most.
Because it is a fairly small team, everyone interacts with everyone really well, and there's a very flat hierarchy in the organisation, so you feel really integrated and like you're being valued quite quickly.
CE might not be a good fit for someone who's mainly looking to build their CV or to make money or to just enter the EA movement generically. It's more of a place for people who really care about impact.
I think CE is a pretty ambitious place. People are trying to do a lot of good, and sometimes there can be a little bit of pressure both on yourself internally but also from the organisation to always try and be doing the best that you can be doing. I enjoy that ambitiousness, and it's something that I personally aspire towards anyway.
I think CE is a very unique organization, so we move really fast. So if someone's incredibly detail oriented and struggles a lot with doing things at a quick pace, that would be a tough cultural fit.
I guess being comfortable with decision making under uncertainty. Being upfront about the things you don't know, but being willing to be make that decision very quickly.
CE is really driven by a need for evidence on everything we do and to keep testing, improving and looking at what works.
The roles are quite broad, generalist, so it's not that you can be just an insect researcher or like focused on just one thing. Usually it's much broader.
If you like a lot of structure and a lot of like norms and this is the way things are work and you're kind of basically told what to do and then you just do it a whole bunch of times over and over again, I think if you're that way inclined, CE is going to be very difficult for you.
Since we try to push for the highest impact thing we can possibly do, we try to be very critical about the ideas, and sometimes it's hard because you might get attached to an idea you've spent a while researching, but you need to have that mindset of saying like, well, this is not the best thing we could be doing, we need to drop it. So definitely being open-minded and able to change your prejudgments based on the evidence.
I'm not in the office all too often, but yet somehow I feel very much part of the team, which I think is pretty hard to pull off. It's very much like a family. It goes beyond team to family.
I guess we're all very close. It's like a very close team, and then we also get to hang out with the incubatees and stuff. So we have our shared office where people can, drop in.
You get to hear a lot about what the charities are actually doing day to day and what their field implementation was like and what their last country visit happened.
It's like a lot of people at CE are friends. There's some people that live together in like shared housing near the office. There are like dinners that some people go to on a weekly basis.
People are really trying to run lean. So it is not uncommon for us to rent an Airbnb if there is EAG conference happening, and then all stay in it together in sort of a group house. Or for people to couch surf at CE people's places. So that's something I really appreciate and really like.
I think we're quite obsessed about spreadsheets, like really obsessed.
But people actually use them in the real life, and it is really funny. It can be like about like the best Soylent meal that they're gonna have.
You're ending up with like a spreadsheet comparing flavors of Huel. Objectively, if you were to write this down or like say it to someone, they'd be like, this is a bit silly. But it's actually really fun.
There used to be a giant robot in the office.
Why?
Because we decided to build one. It was cool. It had fairy lights in its insides.
So if all this sounds exciting to you and sounds like the kind of environment that you would thrive in and do your best work, we would be really happy to have you apply to one of our jobs.